Good afternoon and welcome to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel here every Saturday from noon to 1, bringing everything there is to know about real estate. And wow, how important is real estate in this market? Interest rates are rising, guidelines are changing, but home ownership in Nashville, Middle Tennessee is still an amazing investment. So the original real estate show here to provide continued education to help you navigate what that looks like. Do a discovery call with our team off the air, 615-300-0794, 615-300-0794. Kim Hollingshead, my co-host here every Saturday, real estate attorney, helping clients. I always say that you get to do the good news at the end.
That's right.
And you do an amazing job at navigating through that and helping the clients get to that closing table and make it fun for them. So yes, you guys do it. I mean, I just said I need to contribute to the fun for the pretzels that you brought for the radio show. It's just the best pretzels I've ever had in my life.
We're addicted to the Dots pretzels.
We are. They're so good. So thank you so much for contributing your time and coming in every Saturday to educate us. And I'm excited. I've known Tonya Esquibel for, oh my goodness, lady, like 20 years. And she is a specialist in new construction, managing broker for Vaslin. So thank you so much for coming in today and helping our listeners just learn about what's happening in the new construction world, what your pulse is, and being in real estate for as many years as you have. So I'm going to kind of just let you introduce yourself for the listeners, because it's been a while since you've been on the show. You're not a first timer, but it has been a while.
Yes, so. I'm Tonya Esquibel, and I am the principal broker and sales and marketing manager for Vaslin Communities.
Yeah, and you've been in Nashville for how many years? I moved here in 97, so.
I moved here in 85.
85. Kim, when did you move here?
Oh, 2001.
Oh, okay.
Newbie.
Yeah, so we have all seen the changes in Nashville and seen how much people just love coming to Nashville.
It is a great town.
They love touring Nashville, but they also love, like, once they come, they're like, can I buy? Can I relocate here? Yeah. What does that look like? So with new construction being our focus today, if I time travel back to a year ago, these deals weren't on the table.
They were not on the table, and the world couldn't have changed more in the last year than it has. It is the quickest flip I've seen in my years. I've had my license since 1989. I've seen a couple of ebbs and flows, but nothing like we just experienced.
Yeah, so I feel like we went from super, like, multiple bids, over asking price, and it literally within a 6-month period changed. Not only from a sales price standpoint, but interest rates. Like, we continue to talk about that, and I'm so grateful that Mac, the owner of Vaslin, and Tonya, you're in his ear, helping him understand the market and giving advice about how can we be different? How can we give that client to feel like they have affordability, a good interest rate? And you guys have done amazing in kicking in some great promotions for them to be able to, I don't know any other company out there that's doing that as aggressive as you guys are. So that's awesome, because you're still showing people the value of home ownership. But when it comes to the mortgage world, people are paying more discount points. I mean, for the last 20 years, I've been doing it it'll be 29 years this year. In October 15th is when I got in. But no one paid discount points. And so now people are paying discount points. So the perception is, in my opinion, the reality of where rates really are is different from the consumer's perception. Because if we just go and we Google and you say, what is the 30-year rate today? You're going to see 6.7 on an FHA. You're going to see 7%, but that is with no cost. So we've always been in a market where there's no discount points. It's always been par.
Right.
And so now consumers are not only feeling the impact of, oh, my interest rate's going up, I'm paying a little bit more, but where you guys come in and step into the game is you're helping cover that gap for them when it comes to discount points.
Mac has made an incredible and unprecedented contribution in order to keep our properties affordable. In order to move properties, they have to be affordable, and that is what we've done. Working with you, with your company also kicking in, has made an enormous difference in payment, in affordability, and that sticker shock is not as severe. But it does take a great deal of education. As you know, the people that we have written just this past week do not see the market as the market is. And even with us educating them on site, they don't really get it until they've met with you and they've made an application and they've really compared apples to apples. And it is a tremendous discount. And it makes the difference between buying and not buying.
I mean, when we look at the average rate, we said, 6.6, 7% conventional loans have changed their loan level pricing. FHA has done a good thing, lowered their rates, plus also their mortgage insurance. So that does help that consumer, but they just don't know. When we run a promotion and you're saying 4.99% for a 30-year fix, it's not a 2-1 buy down. It's
and that's
not
what most
ARM.
people think. They think it's temporary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a 30-year fix. And so that is where I'm so excited that, Mac and you have come together with Vaseline Communities and said, how do we keep it affordable for our consumers right now? But I do think that time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
If you sit on the fence and wait, you will miss that opportunity. So I want to turn it to Kim now because you get to see all of these closing disclosures, and you probably never saw as many discount points in your life like I've never have until lately. So I want to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, the fact that the borrowers are coming to you have to buy your rate down. So first, do you want to explain to everyone what a discount point is? I think a lot of people are. It's basically where you have to put money down at the closing table to buy the rate down, right? Or buy into a rate. You may not even get a rate if you don't pay the points at closing. So I think it's fabulous that the builders are actually contributing at a 4.99% interest rate. I haven't seen that at the closing table. And you're right, I'm seeing 6, 7, maybe a little over 7 in some cases, seeing some higher mortgage insurance. And obviously all the rest of the costs have gone up this year significantly.
Right.
But I've not seen a 4.99. Now, so when you're advertising this and people are coming, and obviously you're advertising it as part of the sales for the home, and they're coming to the communities, and then you as a realtor, you're having to explain to people, how are you getting this rate? How is this coming together? Right. What are some of the things that you're kind of sharing with the consumers when you say that you're having to educate them?
Well, we're educating them on, number one, it's not a temporary buy down. Number two, the builder is contributing a significant amount of money. And number three, Tonya is also contributing a significant amount of money in order to secure something under 5%, which is not available and not seen. So number one is we have to make sure they understand that this is fixed for 30 years. So they do not have to worry about having to refinance in 2 years and pay all these closing costs again. So it's much, much more affordable for them long term.
And the rate 4.99, because I've not seen this, so I have some questions myself. So the rate 4.99. Now, we know that interest rates may fluctuate from borrower to borrower, right? I mean, but you have to qualify for that rate, obviously. And is that for a conventional uninsured loan?
So that is an FHA mortgage.
Really? Great.
And with a credit score of 640.
Yeah.
So what we do, because the bond market changes every single day, just like the stock market. So we do a weekend promo. So coming into the weekend, I will get with Tamara, see what they're willing to contribute, see what we're willing to contribute, and we'll do a weekend promo, and that runs from Friday to end of business on Monday to be able to take advantage of that rate. So they do have to apply. They do have to lock in their interest rate because we do have a little volatility because the bond market closes on Friday, but it might open up differently on Monday, and it could be a little bit worse, but that's where we're like absorbing that cost difference if it does turn. And I think Tamara's exactly right. I know we're running out of time. We got to take a break, but I think she's right with the fact that people are thinking, is this, because you're seeing so much advertisement from competitors, is it an ARM? is it a 2, 3, 2, 1 buy down?
Is it
and
real?
this is truly a 30-year fixed.
Right.
That they are
gimmicks.
actually, and the consumer's not paying for that buy down.
And the peace of mind is incredible.
Yeah. So when you see a consumer that is basically, if you look at what we call a par rate with no discount points at 6.6%, and you're getting 4.99, it's an amazing opportunity.
It really is.
So I think in challenging times, and we got to take a break right now, we'll come back and talk about just our experience, together, of how that's where you got to get outside the box and you got to provide affordability. And that's what I love about Vaseline. So we're going to take a break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel here with Cross Country Mortgage, Southeast Regional Manager, producing manager, helping families since 1997 here in Middle Tennessee. I always like to say I started when I was 5.
Baby.
If you're just now tuning in, I have amazing guest in with me today, Tamara Sinabaldi, managing broker for Vaseline Real Estate, my co-host Kim Hollingshead, here with me, bringing so much knowledge and education and such a heart to, that's why we teamed up, such a heart to educate others. And you get to celebrate home ownership. I always get jealous about that point because I want to be there to pop the champagne with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pop the bubbly at closing.
Pop the bubbly at closing. Give them their keys.
Yeah.
But no, you do an amazing job, and I appreciate you so much for everything that you do for all of our clients in Middle Tennessee. If you're just tuning in, we left off on the break. First of all, you can always call us at 615-300-0794, 615-300-0794. If you've missed the show, we're also now on podcast. We're on YouTube. So multiple ways, social media platform to be able to continue to provide education for all your real estate needs. But before the break, we were talking about affordability. We were talking about how the market has shifted. Clients are paying discount points, which has never been in the market before. It's not a bad thing, keeps it affordable.
Right.
But if you're working with a really great builder that is providing those costs for you, then that's even better. And I think clients with new construction really need to understand that. And it's hard because they think it's an ARM, they think it's a buy down. So we kind of left off with that. Mm-hmm. And then Kim brought up a really good point about just recent in the builders news. And so Kim, I'm going to kind of let you take it away on some of your thoughts when it comes into the new construction side of what you're seeing.
Yeah, so I just picked up the Nail today, which is the Builders News magazine. It's released by Home Builders Association, which of course we are all a member of and proudly. And it stated in an article in there that the builders' number one challenge is still the cost of materials. And so we know that last year in 2022, home prices skyrocketed. We know that lumber went way up, and everyone's talking about lumber prices have come down. Is that right, Tamara?
We've seen more stability in pricing. We still have some issues with availability.
Yes.
So we're seeing a lot of availability issues. Things that were supposed to have been ordered and in stock, suddenly they can't get them. So we're still overcoming those challenges.
Right, and that just extends the timeline for how long it takes to build a home. So consumers should still expect some delays in construction,
well,
right?
we're actually delivering on time, but we are really scrambling. You have to scramble, and it's you have to be fleet of foot. And when you get news that something is not available, then you have to it's all hands on deck. You have to find a replacement. It has to be equal or better, and you have to get it on site. And so we're actually doing better this year, much better this year than we did 18 months ago. 18 months ago was a nightmare. But this is much better.
And so, from what I hear, it's appliances for the most part, right?
It is a little bit of everything. Yeah. Countertops and trim, windows, lots and lots of things that we can. Glass. We had windows from 12 months ago delivered that were broken in. Sometimes we're still waiting on glass. It takes months to get a pane of glass in. So it's varied, and it is sort of everywhere you touch in a home, there can be a delay, and we are prepared for it, and we make sure everyone else is aware of it.
Right. And do you guys know exactly why there's still some delay in production?
That's
lots of theories, right?
Yeah, lots of theories, and that's $1 million question. If I knew, I would go in and I would fix it myself. I don't think anyone can really put a finger on it. There's been a lot of things. Of course, COVID was a very, very big part of it 18 months ago, and people are still getting COVID, and people are still shutting down their offices because everybody's got it. So I think that still plays a part, but I think a lot of it is just the global economy.
Right.
And things are from all over. So I think it all kind of plays into that. It's you buying local, and people think it's super easy and it's just right here in Nashville, but it isn't. Just like everything in the world, it's from everywhere in the world.
That's right. So real estate is local, but the
it's
materials...
also international.
Yes.
That's true.
That is so true. I love that you guys demonstrate just sort of like this grit, right? And this determination that you're going to get it done. You're going to get it done on time. Everything that we do, it's such a mentality, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You have to have a proactive attitude. Try not to be reactive, but proactive. The minute there's an issue, everybody jumps in. And that's what makes it happen. That is where the magic happens.
Right, and that separates the winners from the losers.
Absolutely.
Well, we're talking about mindset, we're talking about belief systems, and one of the other challenges that they stated here in this article was that there's a negative perception in the news last year for consumers, kind of tilting them away from home buying new construction, and that is starting to shift a little bit, and consumers are becoming more positive towards new construction again, and it's probably because of these incentive programs, like things like you're offering.
It has absolutely changed in just the last, I would say, 6 weeks. We're seeing a lot less negativity.
Good.
Consumer thinking always lags the market. It just always does. The market can be falling apart and people don't know until it's happened. And then when it bounces, you don't know. And I mean, it's already up and
That
people
is
just
true,
start to learn. So I think that people being very aware and on social media and watching podcasts and radio programs like this, they are the most well-informed purchasers that I've had in all of my career. But they still need education with boots on the ground. So we are seeing that they come in deflated. Even the agents, the buyer's agents are deflated. The market is hard right now. There's not a lot on the market, more than there used to be, but it's not a ton of stuff. But they do come a bit deflated. But when you can explain to that buyer's agent that it is under 5% and it's fixed for 30 years for their client, let's take Dry Creek Commons, for example. A first-time buyer can get in. If they go FHA, they've got that reduction in MIP on the horizon, plus that fixed rate. They are on the property ladder. They have started building equity for the rest of their life.
Yes.
So they can keep that property as a rental, or they can sell it and move on to a single family. So it is a way to build generational wealth, and that is the first stepping stone, is a community like Dry Creek, where a builder is willing to buy down that rate to make it affordable, a lender is willing to help. It makes all the difference between purchasing and not purchasing.
Yeah, and we all know Mac, and we know his heart for people, that he is always trying to help people. And
absolutely.
And one of his missions,
the neighborhoods and communities are amazing.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah. Dry Creek Commons is a great neighborhood to get started in.
Absolutely gorgeous neighborhood.
And Shadow Springs in Brentwood, that's coming around the corner.
Jaw-dropping.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Great location. He couldn't have picked a better location.
It's going to be like a magazine. I cannot wait for it to get finished.
I agree. I mean, that corridor of Brentwood has like basically no new construction other than what Mac built on the other end of Old Hickory
St.
Boulevard,
Martin Square,
right?
Yes.
There's Avalon. But as far as townhomes are concerned, there's really nothing new. And there's nothing at that price point and with those luxury finishes. I mean, the styling. But when I look at that neighborhood, I'm like, wow, when was the last time a townhome development was actually built off Old Hickory?
A long time.
Long time ago. I'm like, was it Brentwood Chase?
It probably.
That
was probably the last one.
Yeah. So if you want to stay in that Brentwood, it's Davidson County, Brentwood, but you want to be there right by Nippers Corner in a new construction, beautiful townhome with 2-car garages. Some of them are 3 bedrooms. I think he's got a master up and down, right?
We do. We have 2 plans with a master down. They all have at least a 1-car garage. All the end units have 2-car garages. They're about 2,150 square feet up to about 2,800 square feet.
Gorgeous.
And they live like a single family home. They're wide and open, and the finishes are amazing.
And the price is right.
And there's only 32 in the community.
Yes.
So it's a private
very
community.
limited.
It is.
It'll
Very
be gated,
limited.
and it's going to have a gorgeous boulevard. To say that Mac has poured his heart and soul into Shadow Springs, he is completely obsessed with Shadow Springs. He loves Shadow Springs, and it is really, it's at the forefront of his mind all the time. He is really,
awesome.
really,
You can tell.
and that's a nice thing about a local builder. He is committed.
Yeah.
He lives in Brentwood. He's committed to it, and it's going to be a really beautiful property.
Yeah, we got to take a break. When we come back, I 100% agree with you. My first home was a townhome because that is a stepping stone into home ownership. Shadow Springs, if I'm going to downsize, at my age right now, empty nester,
Gorgeous.
wonderful complex. So I
Lock it and leave.
Exactly, yes. So we're going to take a break. You're listening to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel here every Saturday from noon to 1 with my co-host, Kim Hollingshead, Hollingshead & Associates. If you're just now tuning in, we are focusing on Vaseline communities. Tamara Sinibaldi is our special guest today. And it's so funny because I love how we don't actually plan a show. Like, we have a thought in mind and we want to educate and we want to teach people. But sometimes the best things and topics that come up are behind the scenes.
Right.
So now we've recruited a new person into this segment based upon those conversations off the scene, which is Kim's executive assistant
Yes, the
with
best in the
Hollingshead &
biz.
Associates, also a real estate agent,
Yes.
Jagger. But more importantly, the reason we're dragging him in is he's a Gen Z. So we're trying to figure out our Gen Zs, and we've kind of figured out our millennials a little bit more,
Right.
but we have this new generation that's coming in and buying. And so, Jagger, thank you so much for being so humble and saying, all right, I'll come in and have the conversation with you guys and just kind of be the sounding board. Because, we're all going to give you all these questions. Why don't you buy now? What are you doing? What are you thinking? Like, you're going to build wealth. What about lifestyle? Okay, drive 20 minutes, but now you've got this home that you're building. So I'm excited that we're actually having you in on this segment to help us out. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so where do we want to start, ladies? It's the ladies against Jagger, and it is Women's History Month.
It is.
It's only fair then, I guess, right?
Only, yes.
Well, he happens to be an expert on this topic. So let's go.
Which topic?
The topic of ladies.
Okay, that's what I thought. Didn't know if that was appropriate for the show or not.
Do we need to get the pretzels?
Yeah, we might need the pretzels, honestly.
So Kim has introduced me and Jagger to the best pretzels in the world. Tamara had one today. Are they really not the best pretzels? I mean,
They are very good. I'm still thirsty, but it's
I mean,
good.
right.
Yes.
I'm thinking that should be like at your closing table for housewarming gift all day long.
Oh, that it would be nice in
Yeah.
the basket.
But
yeah.
anyway, sorry to detour.
No.
So where are we going to take this? What is our Gen Z thinking about home ownership right now?
I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it. One being just the lack of education on a lot of it. You don't really learn too much about mortgages or really anything about buying real estate in regular high school or college at all, honestly. And that's regardless of if you're trying to get into real estate personally or not. And so I think a lot of people my age are still don't really fully understand what it takes. A lot of the different opportunities that are available. So I think that that's a big, broad issue right there. Another one that we were talking about is kind of a commitment to a certain lifestyle. A lot of people, especially if they grew up in more happening cities closer to the city, they kind of get adjusted and accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle that comes with those places. And then once you get to our age and you start thinking about buying, you realize that you don't have the buying power to buy in those certain places. And I think overall that can be off-putting, and to a lot of people, they're more committed to their lifestyle than they are maybe their finances. So they're willing to make that sacrifice. But that is definitely another big one that I see people having issues with. The third one that I think is also really pervasive is just student loans being so big and so daunting to a lot of people. I think the idea of making another big purchase and getting into even more debt is just not even conceivable to them. You know what I mean? I think that they're already so scared and feel so overwhelmed by the amount of debt they have already. To get another huge purchase, possibly bigger than their student loans are, is probably really off-putting to them as well. So I think those are kind of the three main things that keep people from even really hearing about it in the first place, even reaching out to a lender or something like that.
Oh, that is some good information.
That is good. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about, okay, student loan debt, you're going to have whether you rent or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But with renting, you're not creating any equity when you make that payment.
I agree, but
I
am in real estate. I see that people that aren't in real estate.
But how do we teach them that?
You got to explain it to them in a way that sounds cool.
It sounds cool.
You got to make them think it's trendy or hip to buy a house, even if it's it's cool to pay a mortgage over paying rent somehow.
And I want Tamara and Kim to kick in too, but what I heard from that is you're going to have student loan debt regardless, and you have to have a place to live. And if you are paying something to live somewhere, if you have home ownership, you're at least building some wealth.
Absolutely.
So student loan debt, I understand that pressure, but you still have a place to live, to rent. So that's something that I would be like, okay, let's think about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Exactly.
The second thing is about lifestyle. My kids are millennials. I don't have a Gen Z, but the lifestyle standpoint, what I see with Gen Zs that are coming to Nashville, going to college right now, coming out of college, just because I'm an investment in real estate as well and have investment properties, is they're getting roommates to cover the landlord's payment. Why don't we just show you how to own your home? Because you're still going to get roommates, but at least they're paying your mortgage payment and you're building wealth. So those are my two takeaways from your three.
I completely agree with you. I think that's something that I'm interested in doing myself at the moment. So I think it would just be a matter of getting that as plainly as you could out to people in some way. I don't know what the best way to advertise those type of ideas to people would be, but just explaining that you're doing essentially the same thing, but there's one way where you're starting to build equity, and there's another way where that money is just going poof into the landlord's pocket.
Exactly.
And it's gone from yours forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so regardless of anything, if you can explain to them that that's why and that's what makes it worth it, then I think that you could start seeing more change. But again, it was stubborn class, a stubborn, group of people for sure.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, how do we reach your generation? Okay? How do you reach them?
Don't call them.
Don't call them. They don't answer the phone.
They don't answer
and
the
they
phone.
don't look at email. They don't even open email. Nobody
really.
I know of your age does. So how does the education happen? TikTok, and that is not the greatest place to be educated.
Right, exactly. It seems like that's not serious enough, in my opinion.
Even Instagram is like, I think a lot of the people on Instagram are not your age. I think they're a little bit older than you.
Yes, that's true. And I will say, I do think something like Instagram, or honestly, I have seen, and this is a newer one, nobody really in Nashville uses Twitter as much for real estate things, but nationally, Twitter real estate, like I have a whole separate feed on my Twitter that is just real estate stuff, and I follow people from all over the country. And I mean, it's free information from people that have been doing stuff for 30, 40 years. And I think that could be something like that, could be a really good way to kind of get to people where you're just kind of putting that information out there and being like, hey, this is what it looks like. And, maybe this is your situation, maybe it's not. But something through those type of channels is at least something that might catch somebody's eye and they might read it. They're not going to pick up a newspaper. They're not going to read a thing in a magazine.
Right.
They probably won't even read an article that you send to them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But you might catch them on something they're already on, and they might be like, oh, that's kind of interesting to read about, and they don't know. I mean, that's, again, real estate is just so not educated upon in like formal education and earlier. So I think that it's news to just about everyone, you know what I mean? Unless their parents were in real estate.
I have absolutely found that because we do have people your age that have bought like in Dry Creek. And once they're interested, they're extremely interested.
Yeah.
And they absolutely text back and they absolutely pick up the phone. But it's reeling them in, introducing them to the property. That is where we have the issue. I would say, most people that come in are going to be 30 and over. If you get somebody between, 22, 23, 24 that do live there, if they come in, they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really thinking about it, but it's, 900 of their friends have not even considered it because they are busy living the life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is it's kind of a commitment. I think our generation is really bad about commitment in a lot of different senses, but the idea is that they think, oh, I'm buying this house. That means I've got to live there for like at least 5 years. And that is not at all the case.
Correct,
but that's how they see it. And they're like, wow, 5 years from now, I'll be 28. I'm going to still be living in this house like that. Wow, I don't know if that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at all. There's a lot of other
I think
options.
they should buy the house.
And then rent it whenever they want to leave.
Airbnb it.
Airbnb it, exactly.
If you're because owner occupied, if it's your owner occupied, if you want to go travel as Gen Z and don't want to be stuck in a house, you could be gone for, we started with our family doing Christmas in July. So instead of competing with all the grandkids and everyone, we are just like, okay, we're not going to compete at Christmas. We're going to go for a month somewhere in the summer. And that's our gift to our kids and our grandkids. You could do that as an owner.
Yeah.
And as owner occupied, you'll get a permit more than likely in Davidson County. And that income is pretty high.
Yeah, absolutely.
Covers your mortgage.
Covers your mortgage at
helps
least.
you to travel.
That's a big ringer to me. Is if it covers your mortgage, you're living for free or doing or whatever else you're making that equity payment for free. That's awesome.
Not just covering your mortgage, but you've got the appreciation factor that's on top of it. So I would love to just be on a platform to be able to understand how to educate you guys
and to show a couple examples because we
I
have
think
examples
with some numbers of some people that bought a house, at whatever age, held it for like 2 or 3 years and sold it, and just showing them, hey, they came out on the other side with 30, 40K extra money that they did not have. You know what I mean? It's kind of like would inspire people more because I think that they definitely just hear the word mortgage. People don't even think loan as much when they think mortgage. They're like, oh, house payment. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But it doesn't go away. That money is not all disappearing. So if we can educate people more on that, then I think it would definitely be a lot more interest. But
well, they also haven't had a chance to save up a ton of money.
Yeah,
so
that's
they're
another
afraid
thing.
that they don't have the down payment cash that they're going to need, right? For 3.5% sounds impossible for many 20-something-year-olds. But there are loan programs where you can get in with no money down, and it's actually less money out of your pocket to buy a house than it is to renew on your lease or to go lease an apartment where you have to put down for a deposit in first month's rent. And so I hope young people know that and they don't that doesn't deter them from buying. Because, when you have all these student loan payments, it's hard to accumulate some expendable income, isn't it? Because all of that's going towards that bills.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing is there's been a lot of articles that have come out recently about millennials and Gen Z, the average savings that people have and stuff. And it's just, it's kind of sad because you'd be like, okay, a couple of people having this little savings, that's kind of, they're just bad at saving money or something. But when it's this pervasive, you're like, wow, maybe the world is really expensive right now. And especially if they want to live in a city and do the life that they wanted to live, that's what's taking all their money. You know what I mean? And they might even have a good job. And it's still just, in the end, they're not really accumulating wealth from it. And that's kind of a big issue, I feel like.
And that's the message. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into some of the challenges and how to educate Gen Z, but also other homeowners right now too that are thinking, should I buy now? Should I wait? Are rates going to go back down to 2% again? So stay tuned. You're listening to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show here every Saturday from noon to 1, helping educate clients throughout Middle Tennessee since 1997. So excited. If you've missed our show today, please know that you can catch it on our podcast. You can also go to our social media platforms. My co-host, Kim Hollingshead with Hollingshead & Associates. My guest today, Tamerson Abaldi with Vaslin. And we just pulled Jagger in, Executive Assistant with Hollingshead & Associates. Our Gen Z guy that I guess you're on the hot seat. We
representing an entire generation right now.
Yes, you are. And you're the one making it happen right now. But such great information. And, I've known you for several months now and so excited you got your real estate license. You understand how to build wealth. And I love your passion, I feel like, in educating others and why you're willing to share your story on the show of okay, guys, real estate is a good investment. You're going to pay for a place to rent. You just need to explore, find out your discovery. And I always talk about everyone's financial DNA is really different. So if you're out there thinking about what does homeownership look like for you, it doesn't cost you anything. Give us a call at 615 615-300-0794, 615-300-0794. If you have children or grandchildren that are listening and you're like, how do I get them over the hump because they need to invest in real estate? Please, we'd be happy to help them as the local team of experts here. But Kim, when we, before we went to break, I felt like I was just so like excited to hear like Jagger's 3 reasons and like just jumped in and was like, okay, this is what I think. Like,
he's so smart.
Be owner occupied, let them Airbnb it. Don't just pay a landlord, build some wealth. And then Tamara had some great questions, but I did not get your input on that. So I'd love to hear you ask Jagger some questions to be able to, provide a different perspective that we maybe have missed.
Yeah, about the Gen Z in homeownership. Because, my heart actually, I have a lot of compassion for young people because it's challenging out there, right? They are working harder than ever. Inflation is going up. They're paying student loans in a way that none of us had to. I mean, tuition has gone just through the roof.
Unbelievable. Absolutely
So when I paid for my college through student loans, I was able to afford to go to David Lipscomb to do it. There's no way I couldn't do that today. I mean, these kids are in their early 20s, they've $100,000 plus in student loan debt. Some of these kids have been accumulating student loan debt since high school as well. So, I mean, that is a unique challenge that this generation faces that no one else does, right?
Correct.
And then the fact that you guys do tend to get married, young people tend to get married later and later. They tend to stay single a little longer. They start their families a little later. But they do tend to have dual income households, right? Young people, the millennials and the zennials tend to have a dual income, whereas, maybe we didn't. Right. So when it comes to your ideas about homeownership, and like you were talking about that the younger generations, they want to live, we call it flossing, right? Wait, is that still...
I've never heard that before.
No, we're dripping.
Okay, there you go.
So they want to live in the don't laugh at me. I'm so cool.
Yeah.
Our listeners are going, what is that too? I have no idea.
So, but they want to live in the cool neighborhoods. And I think there's a misconception out there that in order to live in a cool neighborhood in Nashville, you've got to have a lot of money and those places are so expensive. But we know that that's not true, right? You can find some great affordable condos, some great places just off West End. So if you want to live near downtown, still by East Nashville, right? So what are some other neighborhoods that young people ought to take a look at?
Well, I want to know what dripping is.
I think it's like where you're wearing the diamonds and you're just like dripping in diamonds.
Think
you
of
know
it
all about
as
that, Tonya.
Think of it as they call the diamonds like water or ice or whatever, right?
Okay.
And so they would drip, I guess,
I was
technically.
It's like an urban dictionary.
Yeah, I do remember you did introduce me to that probably a month ago.
Okay.
I've just not used it since. So,
Well, honestly, it was from like 2 years ago, so let's just...
Okay.
So it's already out.
my gosh.
I'm kidding.
Burn.
I'm kidding.
Take us to the burn
I'm
unit.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Call 911 day.
Well, I'm not dripping today, so just so you
You
know.
didn't wear your diamonds today. It's okay. I didn't either. What neighborhoods in Nashville that young... so there's a lot of up-and-coming ones. I would definitely say Wedgwood, Houston's probably the top of my list personally. I think that I just like everything that's going up over there, and I definitely think that younger people, at least I know younger people, are starting to move in over there. And so that one's a little bit newer that I think is very cool. The Nations is extremely popular for young people right now. I can't tell you how many people I knew out of college that have places over there now. Sylvan Park is still a little bit more family, a little bit older, but it's still a great neighborhood, I think, and it still would be worth living there, absolutely, if you could find a place that's reasonable.
Yeah.
So those are kind of 3 other ones. Other than East Nashville, I'm from East Nashville, so I'm partial. That's where I would want to live if it was anything. But that's another place that, everything's just rising over there. It's a lot more difficult to have a place over there right now, and so... I guess people are kind of looking to other little areas in between and stuff like that. Cleveland Park, which is in between East Nashville and North Nashville, that's kind of coming up a little bit more and stuff, and they've got really cool stuff over there as well. So that's not a bad one. That one's relatively new.
Madison is close to East Nashville,
and
I think people forget how close it is. It's just a hop, skip,
It's
and
just
a jump
over
away
the interstate, really. Once you get to the other side of the interstate from Gallatin Road, then it's Madison, but it's the same thing essentially. And that's a great up and coming.
Very up and coming, super affordable, and there's a lot coming in there.
Yeah, tons of new stuff.
As far as development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
Very good. So Tonya, did you have a question?
Well, I was just curious because my millennials go to White's Creek, which is like 10 minutes from East Nashville, 20 minutes from downtown.
Like, to live?
No, to live, yeah.
I don't know anyone that
It could
lives
be
out
because
that way.
they're married.
That's possibly the thing.
Probably
It's a little more suburban.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But no one ever realized it literally is 10 minutes from East Nashville,
I think
20 from downtown.
For whatever reason, and I don't know if there's any good reason for this, I feel like there are certain parts of town that are kind of forgotten about, maybe just because other areas get so popularized. Like Dylan was talking about the fact that when he was coming here, nobody had even advertised like Hendersonville, Goodlettsville type areas to him, which is interesting because that's a very big market, absolutely, and there's a lot of stuff over there. Right. But growing up, I for whatever reason, I kind of understand that, like, that doesn't surprise me that they didn't even mention it to him, I guess, which is kind of interesting. I just think there's a lot of other pop things that they'd rather put you onto first and try to see if you're interested in first that you don't hear about some of these other places. So White Creek could be a great example of that. It's just kind of falls through the cracks, but it's nothing wrong with living there, absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, Donaldson's another one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's a great area as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that from your generation standpoint, are you leaning toward the townhome like Tamara was talking about? Just that was my first home that I bought. It was not as much maintenance. I didn't have to worry about the grass, the yard, certain things that I had to. New construction was great because I didn't have to worry about, because I had a warranty with things. Do you feel like that townhomes is something that your generation is leaning toward, or condos, or is it more of a single family? You want a backyard because more people have pets and animals now? Like, what's your take on that from your generation standpoint?
Yeah, I think that would definitely depend situation to situation. Because if it's like a couple, I think they would definitely be more interested in like a townhome or maybe a single family type of situation. I think people alone, especially girls alone, are probably going to go more condo if they have the choice, or if they have the money, unless they have like roommates that they live together with as well. And so I think it's just singular people kind of would probably gravitate more towards condos or townhomes. And then the people that I see living in single family homes it's like 3 to 4 people all living together. That's what we rent like a 3-bedroom house out in Antioch, and we split it, and it's 4 of us there. So that's kind of how I think it kind of goes depending on the situation.
All right, so we have 1 minute left of the show. I could keep talking all day long.
He's so smart.
Yes, you're such an amazing Gen Z guy. Thank you so much. And so smart and educated, and appreciate you being on the show. Tamara Sinabaldi with Vaseline. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So happy what Mac is doing with his communities, the owner of Vaseline, and helping keep affordability with the promotions that he's doing and incentives. And always, Kim, thank you so much for being here every Saturday, taking such great care of our clients. And be sure and tune in next week. Everyone have a wonderful and blessed week. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 615-300-0794.